My name is Caroline Hayes and I'm 31 years old. The evening of March 15th started like any other family humiliation, with my mother's voice dripping with contempt as she assigned me my role for the night. What my family didn't know was that this would be the last time they'd ever have the opportunity to treat me like I was nothing. Because I wasn't nothing. I was the owner of the $2.4 million estate they were currently celebrating in, and in exactly 10 minutes they were about to find out. But before I tell you how their $180,000 engagement party came crashing down around them, let me explain how we got here. Because this wasn't just about one dinner. This was about 31 years of being treated like the family mistake, the disappointment, the one who just didn't measure up to my perfect sister Victoria. Growing up, our family operated on a simple principle. Victoria was the sun, and I was supposed to orbit gratefully in her shadow. She was 2 years younger than me, but you'd never know it from the way my parents treated her like she'd invented success itself. When Victoria got into college, my parents threw a party for 200 people at the country club. They bought her a brand new BMW as a congratulations gift and paid her entire tuition, $240,000 for 4 years at a private university. When I got into college with a full academic scholarship, my father said, "Well, at least you won't cost us anything." There was no party, no car. My mother actually told relatives I chose a state school because I wasn't ambitious enough for anything better. The fact that I'd earned a full ride didn't matter to them. When Victoria got her first job as a marketing coordinator making $45,000 a year, my parents acted like she'd been appointed CEO of Fortune 500 company. My mother called everyone in our extended family. My father took her to dinner at the most expensive restaurant in the city. When I got my first job as a financial analyst making $68,000, my mother said, "That's nice, dear," and changed the subject to talk about Victoria's incredible career trajectory. The pattern repeated itself over and over. Victoria bought a condo with my parents' help. They gave her $150,000 for the down payment. I bought my first property entirely on my own at 24, and my father's only comment was, "Must be nice to have money to waste on real estate." He had no idea that property was a small apartment building I'd purchased as an investment, or that I'd already started building what would become a multi-million-dollar real estate portfolio. They never asked about my life. Never asked what I did for work beyond that first job. Never asked if I was happy, if I needed anything, if I had dreams or goals or achievements worth celebrating. To them, I was just Caroline, the older sister who existed to make Victoria look better by comparison. What my family didn't know, what they never bothered to ask about, was that I had a talent for real estate investment that bordered on intuitive. While Victoria was spending my parents' money on designer handbags and weekend trips, I was learning everything I could about property markets, investment strategies, and wealth building. My first investment property purchased at 24 had been a small apartment building in an up-and-coming neighborhood. I'd saved every penny from my analyst job, worked weekends doing freelance financial consulting, and barely slept for 2 years to make it happen. That building tripled in value within 3 years. I sold it for $890,000 profit. I took that profit and bought 3 more properties. Then 6. Then 12. By the time I was 28, I owned a portfolio worth $8.2 million. I'd quit my analyst job and now worked as a private real estate consultant for high-net-worth clients, managing investments that my parents couldn't even conceptualize. But I never told them. Why would I? They'd never asked. They'd never cared. And honestly, some part of me enjoyed knowing that they completely underestimated me. While they pitted me for being just a financial analyst, a job I'd left 3 years ago, I was quietly building an empire. The Rosewood estate had been my most recent acquisition. 5 months ago, I'd purchased the historic property for $2.4 million cash. It was a stunning 1920s mansion with manicured gardens, a ballroom, and enough prestige to make it the most sought-after event venue in the city. The previous owners had run it as a venue for years, and I'd kept the excellent management team in place, including Marcus, the estate manager who'd worked there for 15 years. When Victoria announced her engagement to Bradley, our investment banker whose most interesting quality was his family's money, I knew exactly what my parents would do. They'd want to throw the most extravagant engagement party possible. My mother started calling venues immediately, complaining loudly at family dinners about how impossible it was to find anything suitable for someone of Victoria's caliber. The Rosewood estate would be perfect, my mother sighed one Sunday dinner, but they're booked solid for the next year. I've called 14 times. I'd smiled into my wine glass. The Rosewood estate wasn't booked. I'd deliberately kept March 15th open. I wanted to see exactly how far my family would go. 2 weeks later, my mother called me, barely able to contain her excitement. Caroline, you won't believe it. The Rosewood estate had a cancellation. We got the date for Victoria's engagement party. What she didn't know was that I'd had Marcus call her back and offer the cancelled slot. I'd also instructed him not to mention ownership, just to handle everything professionally and accept their deposit. My parents had wired $940,000 total. $740,000 for the venue, catering and services, plus a $200,000 deposit for Victoria's future wedding reception they'd booked for next spring. If you're genuinely enjoying this story, I'd love for you to hit that like button. But only if it's resonating with you, no pressure at all. The weeks leading up to the engagement party were a masterclass in my family's priorities. My mother called Victoria 47 times to discuss details. She called me twice, both times to tell me what I should wear because we can't have you looking inappropriate in the photos. Victoria posted daily updates on social media about the most incredible engagement party ever planned. She shared photos of her custom Vera Wang dress, $8,500, the designer invitations, $3,200 for 100 invitations, and the elaborate floral arrangements my mother had ordered, $22,000. Not once did she mention me. 1 week before the party, we had a family planning dinner at my parents' house. I was invited, but only because my mother said it would look bad if I wasn't there. Now, Caroline, my mother began, using that tone she reserved for when she was about to say something cruel while pretending it was practical, we need to discuss your role at the party. My role? I asked calmly. Yes. We've worked very hard to make this perfect for Victoria. We can't have any disruptions. My father cleared his throat. What your mother means is that this is Victoria's night. We need you to understand that and behave accordingly. Accordingly, I repeated. Victoria was scrolling through her phone, not even bothering to look up. Just don't be weird, Caroline. Don't talk about yourself. Don't try to get attention. This isn't about you. My mother nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. In fact, we've arranged for you to help with some of the coordination. Make yourself useful. The catering staff might need assistance and... You want me to work at my sister's engagement party, I said flatly. Not work, my mother corrected. Help. It's what family does. Besides, you're not exactly bringing a date or contributing financially, so the least you can do is pitch in. The assumption that I hadn't contributed financially almost made me laugh. I owned the venue. I was technically paying myself to host their party. But I just smiled and said, of course. Whatever Victoria needs. Victoria finally looked up from her phone. Actually, I don't want her in the photos anyway. He always looks so, I don't know, tired, stressed. It brings down the aesthetic. My father actually nodded in agreement. Victoria's right. Caroline, perhaps it's best if you stay behind the scenes. You understand. I understood perfectly. I understood that in 10 days, they were going to regret every single word of this conversation. March 15th arrived with perfect weather. A clear spring evening that made the Rosewood estate look like something out of a fairy tale. I dressed carefully in a simple but elegant navy dress. Nothing flashy. Nothing that would draw attention. I wanted to blend in right up until the moment I didn't. I arrived at 6 p.m., an hour before guests were scheduled to arrive. My mother was already there, directing the staff like a general commanding troops. She saw me and immediately frowned. Caroline, you're early. I wanted to see if you needed any help, I said pleasantly. How thoughtful, she said in a tone that made it clear she found it anything but. Actually, yes. The catering manager mentioned they're short-staffed. Perhaps you could assist in the kitchen? In the kitchen, I repeated. Just for the beginning. Once things get started you can, well, we'll see. She waved her hand dismissively and walked away, already pulling out her phone to take more photos of the elaborate setup. I went to the kitchen where the catering staff was indeed busy preparing for 72 guests. The head chef, a woman named Maria whom I'd worked with on 3 previous events at the estate, saw me and immediately looked confused. Ms. Hayes? Is everything all right? Do you need something changed? Everything's perfect, Maria, I said quietly. I'm just going to observe for a bit. My family doesn't know I own the estate yet. Understanding dawned on her face, followed by something that looked like anticipation. I see. Should I? Just treat me like any other guest. For now. Guests started arriving at 7 p.m. I watched from the kitchen window as my extended family filed in, all dressed in their finest. Aunts, uncles, cousins, 72 people total, all there to celebrate Victoria and Bradley's engagement. Victoria arrived at 7:15 in a dramatic entrance, wearing her Vera Wang dress and practically glowing with self-satisfaction. Bradley was beside her in an expensive suit, looking every bit the successful banker. My parents flanked them like proud peacocks, accepting congratulations as if they'd personally achieved something remarkable. At 7:30 my mother came to the kitchen. Caroline, the guests are all here. You should stay in here for dinner. I'm sorry, I said, though I'd heard her perfectly. It's just, the seating is very carefully arranged. We don't have a place for you at the main tables and it would disrupt everything to rearrange now. You can eat here with the staff. I'm sure they won't mind. One of the sous chefs actually dropped a spoon. You want me to eat in the kitchen, I said, my voice carefully neutral. It's not personal, Caroline. It's just logistics. You understand. My mother was already turning away as if the matter was settled. Mom, I said, and something in my tone made her turn back. You want me to eat in the kitchen at my sister's engagement party? Oh, don't be dramatic. It's just dinner. Besides, you're not exactly contributing to the celebration, are you? No gift, no date, no real reason to be featured. The dining room is for family who actually matter in Victoria's life. The words hung in the air. The entire kitchen staff had gone silent. Family who actually matter, I repeated. You know what I mean. Victoria's close family. The people who've invested in her future. Now, I need to get back to our guests. She swept out of the kitchen without another glance. I stood there for a moment looking at the shocked faces of the catering staff. Maria stepped closer, her voice low. Miss Hayes, I'm so sorry. We had no idea she would. It's fine, I said calmly. Actually, it's perfect. Maria, could you prepare me a plate? I'll eat here just like my mother wants. I sat at a small table in the corner of the kitchen, eating the same gourmet meal the guests were being served in the grand dining room. Through the window I could see my family laughing, toasting, celebrating. My father stood up to make a speech about Victoria's incredible journey, and how proud they were of their daughter. Singular. As if he only had one. Then I saw Victoria pull out her phone. She was pointing it toward the kitchen window, toward me. She was filming me eating alone in the kitchen while her engagement party happened 30 feet away. One of the servers came in and whispered to Maria, "The bride wants you to know she's posting it on Instagram. She's already captioned it." Maria pulled out her own phone and navigated to Victoria's Instagram. He showed me the screen. There I was, sitting in the kitchen, and the caption read, "Where she belongs," face with tears of joy. Some people are just meant to stay in the background. Hashtag know your place, hashtag engagement party, hashtag family first. The post already had 43 likes and comments from relatives. OMG Victoria, you're savage. Face with tears of joy. Poor Caroline, oh. This is hilarious. Your sister must be so embarrassed. I looked at that post for exactly 5 seconds. Then I smiled. Maria, I said calmly, could you please ask Marcus to come to the kitchen? She practically ran to get him. Marcus appeared within minutes, slightly out of breath. Miss Hayes, I just saw. I know, I said. I think it's time, don't you? His face split into a grin. I've been waiting for this moment since they booked the venue. Give me 10 minutes. Then make the announcement exactly as we discussed. It will be my absolute pleasure. I spent those 10 minutes finishing my meal slowly, deliberately. I could hear the party continuing in the dining room. More toasts. More laughter. More celebration of Victoria's perfect life. At exactly 8:47 p.m. I stood up, smoothed my dress and walked out of the kitchen. I didn't go into the dining room. Not yet. I went to the estate's main office, where I'd left a folder with Marcus earlier in the week. Inside were the property deeds, the purchase agreement, and several other documents that would make it very clear very quickly exactly who owned the Rosewood estate. At 8:50 p.m., I heard the feedback from a microphone being turned on. Marcus's voice, calm and professional, filled the estate. "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize for the interruption. My name is Marcus Chin and I'm the estate manager here at Rosewood. I have a brief announcement to make." I could hear the confusion in the dining room, the murmur of voices wondering what was happening. "There's been a significant misunderstanding that needs to be addressed immediately. When this event was booked 5 months ago, the party coordinators were not made aware of certain ownership details regarding the property." The murmuring grew louder. As of September 15th of last year, the Rosewood estate was purchased by a new owner. That owner is currently in attendance at this evening's event. I walked slowly toward the dining room, timing my entrance perfectly. "In fact," Marcus continued, and I could hear the satisfaction in his voice, "the owner has been here all evening. Many of you know her. Miss Caroline Hayes is the sole owner of the Rosewood estate, and as such she has the authority to make all decisions regarding events held on this property." I stepped into the doorway of the dining room just as Marcus said my name. 72 faces turned toward me in perfect synchronization. The silence was absolute. My mother's face had gone completely white. My father had frozen with his wine glass halfway to his mouth. Victoria's mouth was literally hanging open, and Bradley looked confused, like he couldn't quite process what he'd just heard. Marcus continued, "Ms. Hayes has reviewed the events of this evening and has made a decision regarding the remainder of tonight's celebration, as well as future events booked at this venue. I'll now turn things over to her." He handed me the microphone as I walked to the front of the room. Every step felt like victory. "Hello everyone," I said, my voice steady and clear. "I'm sorry to interrupt such a lovely celebration. As Marcus just explained, I own this estate. I purchased it 5 months ago for $2.4 million in cash. Some of you may be wondering why I didn't mention this before." I looked directly at my mother. I wasn't asked. In fact, in the 5 months since I bought this property, not one person in my immediate family has asked me what I do for a living, how I'm doing financially, or anything about my life beyond whether I was bringing a date to tonight's event. My father had finally set down his wine glass. His hand was shaking. When my mother called 5 months ago, desperate to book this venue for Victoria's engagement party, I had my estate manager offer her the date. "I accepted your deposit of $740,000 for tonight's event, plus an additional $200,000 deposit for Victoria's wedding reception next spring. That's $940,000 total, all paid to me." Victoria made a sound like a wounded animal. "Tonight, I was told that I wasn't important enough to sit in the dining room. I was told to eat in the kitchen with the staff, which I did by the way, and they were lovely company. My father told 72 guests that the dining room was for family who actually matter. And my sister filmed me eating alone and posted it to Instagram with the caption, 'Where she belongs.'" I pulled out my own phone and held it up, showing Victoria's post on the screen projected behind me via the estate's presentation system. "This is what my sister posted 23 minutes ago. 43 people thought it was hilarious to see me humiliated at my own property." The room was so silent you could hear people breathing. "So I've made a decision. Effective immediately, this engagement party is concluded. You have 30 minutes to gather your belongings and exit the property. The catering is cancelled, the bar is closed, and the evening is over." My mother found her voice. "You can't, Caroline, you can't be serious." "I'm completely serious. Marcus, please begin the shutdown process." "Wait." Victoria jumped to her feet, her face blotchy with rage and panic. "This is my engagement party. You can't just end it." "I can actually. It's my property. But more importantly, Victoria, I'm also canceling your wedding reception scheduled for next spring." "What?" "Your $200,000 deposit is forfeit per the cancellation clause you signed. You'll receive nothing back. The clause specifically states that abusive behavior towards staff or property ownership will result in immediate cancellation and forfeiture of all deposits." My father stood up, his face turning red. "This is insane. We're your family." "No," I said quietly. "Family doesn't banish someone to eat in the kitchen. Family doesn't film their humiliation for social media entertainment. Family doesn't tell someone they don't matter. You made it very clear tonight what you think of me. I'm simply responding in kind." Bradley, who'd been silent this entire time, tried to speak. "Ms. Hayes, perhaps we can discuss." There's nothing to discuss. The decision is final. You all have 28 minutes now to leave my property. What happened next was chaos. Pure beautiful chaos. My mother rushed toward me, her voice shrill. Caroline, please. Think about what you're doing. This is Victoria's special night. I did think about it, I said calmly. I thought about it when you told me to eat in the kitchen. I thought about it when Dad said I didn't matter. I thought about it when Victoria filmed me and mocked me online. I've thought about it very carefully. Victoria was crying now, her perfect makeup running down her face. You're ruining my life. Everyone is watching. This will be all over social media. Yes, I agreed. Just like your post about me was. Except this time the story won't be where she belongs. It'll be who actually owns the place. Relatives started standing up, gathering their things, whispering frantically to each other. I heard snippets. Did you know Caroline owned this place? How much did she say she paid? Oh my God, she's rich? I can't believe they made her eat in the kitchen. My Aunt Jennifer, my mother's sister, walked past and stopped. She looked at me with something I'd never seen from my family before. Respect. Caroline, she said quietly, I had no idea about any of this. I'm sorry. Thank you, I said. She nodded and walked out, shaking her head. My mother made one more attempt. The money, Caroline. We can't afford to lose $940,000. Your father's business has been struggling. We took out a loan for this. And there was the truth beneath the truth. They couldn't afford this party. They'd gone into debt to throw Victoria an extravagant celebration they couldn't afford, and now they'd lost almost $1 million. You should have thought of that before you decided I wasn't worth a seat at the table, I said. Security, my security hired by me, began gently but firmly encouraging guests toward the exits. Victoria was sobbing on Bradley's shoulder. Bradley looked like he was reconsidering his life choices. My father was on his phone, presumably calling his lawyer, not realizing that my contracts were ironclad. Within 25 minutes, the Rosewood estate was empty except for staff and me. Marcus approached, barely suppressing a smile. All guests have departed, Ms. Hayes. The venue is clear. Thank you, Marcus. Please make sure the staff is paid triple for this evening, including the catering team. This wasn't their fault. Already done. And Ms. Hayes? That was the most professionally delivered devastation I've witnessed in 15 years of event management. I stayed at the estate for another hour, helping the staff clean up the abandoned party. Half-eaten plates of food, scattered napkins, Victoria's elaborate floral centerpieces. All of it a testament to a celebration that ended in spectacular failure. My phone started ringing at 9:47 p.m. My mother. I declined the call. It rang again. My father. Declined. Victoria. Declined. My mother again. Declined. Text messages started flooding in. From Mom. Caroline, please call me. We need to talk about this. You're being irrational. From Dad. This is unacceptable behavior. Call me immediately. From Victoria. I hate you. You ruined my life. Everyone saw. Bradley's parents are furious. I blocked all 3 numbers. Then the extended family started calling. Cousins, aunts, uncles. People who'd watched me eat in the kitchen and said nothing. I sent one group text. Tonight's events speak for themselves. I will not be discussing this further. Please respect my privacy. Then I turned off my phone. What I didn't know until the next morning was that the story had exploded online. Victoria's original Instagram post, the one mocking me in the kitchen, had been screenshot and shared thousands of times. But now it had context. Guests from the party had posted their own accounts. I just witnessed the most insane revenge at an engagement party. The poor sister eating in the kitchen? She owned the $2.4 million venue and kicked everyone out. Fire. My cousin's engagement party just got cancelled because they humiliated the bride's sister, who turned out to be the property owner. I can't even process this. So my family member made her sister eat in the kitchen at a party, filmed it, mocked her online, then found out that sister owns the estate and lost $940,000. I have no words. Victoria's post had gone from 43 likes to being shared over 50,000 times. But now the comments were very different. You mocked someone eating in the kitchen at their own property? Skull, the karma is immaculate. Imagine losing almost $1 million because you couldn't be decent to your sister. Where she belongs aged like milk in the sun. Someone had created a side-by-side comparison. Victoria's original mocking post on the left, and a photo someone had taken of me speaking into the microphone on the right. It had been shared 127,000 times with the caption, "Find someone who looks at you the way Caroline Hayes looks at people who underestimated her." I didn't hear from my immediate family for 3 weeks. Radio silence. No calls, no texts, no emails. It was the most peaceful 3 weeks I'd had in years. Then on April 7th my doorbell rang at 8 a.m. I opened it to find my mother standing there, looking like she'd aged 10 years in 3 weeks. "Caroline, we need to talk." "No, we don't. Please. Just 5 minutes." "I'm asking." Against my better judgment I let her in. She sat on my couch, looking around my penthouse apartment like she was seeing it for the first time. Which she was, since she'd never visited me here in the 3 years I'd owned it. "This is very nice," she said weakly. "Thank you. Caroline, I came to apologize." "Okay. And to ask if there's any way we can get the deposit back. Your father's business is in serious trouble. We're going to lose the house. We've already canceled Victoria's wedding because we can't afford." "Stop." She stopped. "You came here to apologize, but really you came here to ask for money. Just like always. Except this time, you actually have to acknowledge that I have money to ask for. Yes, we need help, but I am sorry. We were wrong." "What specifically were you wrong about?" She blinked. "What? Tell me specifically what you did wrong." "Not we were wrong. What did you do wrong?" She struggled visibly. I shouldn't have made you eat in the kitchen. And I shouldn't have said those things about family that matters. And I don't. You spent 31 years treating me like I was worthless. You paid for Victoria's entire life while telling me I wasn't worth investing in. You never asked about my career, my life, my achievements. You never once considered that I might be successful. And when given the opportunity at Victoria's party, you chose to humiliate me publicly rather than treat me with basic human dignity. Tears were running down her face now. I know all of that. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Are you sorry for what you did, or are you sorry you lost $940,000? She didn't answer. He didn't have to. We both knew. You need to leave, I said quietly. Caroline, please. You need to leave my home. Now. He left crying. I closed the door and felt nothing. No satisfaction. No anger. Just a profound sense of finality. It's been 6 months since Victoria's engagement party ended in spectacular fashion. I haven't spoken to my parents or Victoria since my mother's visit. They've tried calling from different numbers, sending letters, even showing up at my office once. Security escorted them out. According to my Aunt Jennifer, the only family member I've maintained contact with, my parents did lose their house. They're living in a small apartment now. Both working jobs they hate to pay off the debt they accumulated trying to impress people with Victoria's life events. Victoria and Bradley postponed their wedding indefinitely. Apparently, the viral story of the engagement party made Bradley's parents concerned about the family dynamics, and they've been pressuring him to reconsider the marriage. Victoria blames me for potentially losing her fiancé, which is ironic considering she's the one who filmed me and posted it to social media. As for me, I'm thriving. My real estate portfolio is now worth $12.3 million. I've expanded into commercial properties and just closed on a small hotel downtown. The Rosewood estate is booked solid for the next 18 months with clients who specifically requested to work with me after hearing the story. I've also built something my biological family never gave me. A real family. Marcus and his wife have become close friends. Maria, the catering chef, and I have started a side business doing pop-up dinner events. My Aunt Jennifer and I have coffee every week and she's introduced me to cousins I barely knew growing up. People who actually care about who I am, not what I can do for them. I don't regret what I did at Victoria's engagement party. Not for a second. Some people think I was too harsh. They say family deserves second chances, that I should forgive and move on. But here's what I learned. Family isn't about blood. It's about respect, love, and treating people like they matter. My biological family failed that test for 31 years. I gave them countless chances to see me, to value me, to treat me with basic dignity. They chose not to. The moment they made me eat in the kitchen at my own property, they made their choice. I simply honored it. I'm Caroline Hayes. I'm 31 years old. I own a multi-million-dollar real estate empire. And I haven't been in a kitchen I didn't want to be in for 6 months. And you know what? I've never been happier. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. Sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's becoming so successful that the people who dismissed you become irrelevant to your happiness.